No one likes waiting, especially when you don't know when the waiting will end. No light at the end of the tunnel. Proverbs 13:12 says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. And while that is true, it is also true that it is often during the waiting period where we grow the most and come closer to God, especially when what we're waiting on is the blessing of having children. In today's episode, I'll be talking with elementary teacher and snack entrepreneur, Gina Allen.
Hey.
She'll share how she leaned on God during a grueling season of infertility. All right, Gina, it's been the summertime. You're a teacher. Have you been enjoying your summer so far?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Summertime is break time.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what grade are you teaching now?
I moved to third grade last year, so still in third grade. Will be this year, and I'm loving it.
All right. Are you teaching math? Are you teaching what's your main subject?
Yeah, I teach math. Yeah. That's my love.
Mm-hmm. So move from doing what we call that? It's the multiple of adding. I can't remember what we called it, but now it's just multiplication.
Oh, yeah.
All the multiplication. What was it? Is the bar, when we were kids, it was like you had to borrow the one and then they called it
regrouping. It wasn't called that. It was
called regular math.
Yeah.
But you borrowed the one.
And now they have a fancy word, regrouping.
Now regrouping. But you don't teach that anymore. Now you just do it. Multiplication.
That's right. We focus mostly on multiplication, fractions. That's a big one in third grade.
Yeah.
So.
Making it friends.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you got this snack shop of yours, the Purple Cow.
Yes.
How did that come to be?
Actually, it's something I've wanted to do for a while. I love cooking. If anybody asks, what's your hobby? That's me. I love to cook. I think that just comes from my mom. She was always cooking for me when I was a kid and always usually had a snack or had something ready. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do this because it's kind of a way of just having something just to snack on. What I make is not something that you're just going to sit down and buy or buy a big bag of it at the store like you would, at the grocery store. It's just something that you're going to have for a snack and primarily focusing on like road trips and gift baskets and things like that. Okay. So that,
parties,
you're just, parties. I know at Christmas time, I've been doing a lot of the grazing trays. Mm-hmm. So, all of that is just there for you to grab. And that went over really, really big during Christmas time. So, and I've done several gift baskets, but my intent or the goal of it is just to keep it snack size.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is this going to be like your new retirement plan or something?
Oh, I don't think so.
So you retire teaching, you retire from the snack shop too?
It would be nice if I could do that. But honestly, it's just a joy.
Okay,
it's just one of those things that's just a joy.
Good. Yeah. And all jobs should be that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Try to make them be that. Yeah. Okay. So where can they go to get your tasty treats? Is there do you have a shop somewhere? Do you have it online or just pop-ups?
I do. I have a Facebook page. We're tied into Instagram. I also have an Etsy shop now. Yeah. So I'm trying to just kind of build the brand away from just locally where I live.
Yeah.
Because the products are sustainable. Mm-hmm. You can, for the snack mixes, those are sealed to where they will last.
Yeah.
So Instagram, Facebook, Etsy. I do have a TikTok page. I don't do a lot on there, but
Gina, I'm impressed TikTok because I'm like, for me, I'm like, I don't think I had the energy to do TikTok, but
every once in a while I'll put something on there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk some more about your snacks later. I'm really interested to hear some more about them, but we'll talk about them later. But right now, we're going to hear about your story. So where does your story start?
My husband and I were living in Jackson, Mississippi. I guess we had been married about 5 or 6 years, and we were living there so that he could attend law school.
Okay.
That's a very stressful time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It leaves you just basically by yourself if you're if you have no family around, which we did not, family was 2 hours away. And, so we were in a situation where there was just a lot going on. And, when you're in law school, you're devoted to that. There's no job. There's no, free time.
Yeah.
My husband and I tell our kids about it all the time. We talk about it, how, it was stressful because it was 24/7. And sometimes on Saturday nights or Sunday, we'd have time for each other. But, for 3 years, you were just in the books.
Gosh, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years in the books.
Yeah, sounds like nursing school to me.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that can relate to that,
Yeah.
But just a really stressful time. And with our family 2 hours away, there's a lot of time to sit and just reflect.
Yeah.
And think when you're by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how old were you guys at this point? Or how old were you?
I was around 25 years old.
Yeah. So that means, we'll do some math here. You can correct me if you need to, math teacher. So that means you were about 21-ish when you got married?
Well, actually, I was about 19.
Oh my gosh.
19 going
Gina,
to 20. I mean,
you were a baby.
I was such a baby. Such a baby, but I thought that I was not a baby. So
yes, don't we all? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But my husband and I have been married for 30 years now. Well, fixing to be 31. And, I mean, in those years and way back when, that, 20 years old, that wasn't that young.
Yeah.
But
for that. Yeah. Because I think my grandmother got married at 19. So,
yeah.
So,
I mean, nowadays kids are waiting, doing their thing and, planning their lives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, my sister still got married young. Well, she got married at 21. So,
yeah, that's pretty
average time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but now you guys have been married for a while. So you were 25-ish around this time. So what were you guys kind of struggling with?
Well, at that age, which, like I said, nowadays, 25 is probably not very old for people who are trying to start a family. They're working on their career and staying focused on those kinds of things. But for me, I had graduated college and I was working, and with him going to law school, and it was just too much surrounding that to think about a family.
Yeah.
But we knew that getting closer to the end of law school and getting a little bit older. My husband's 3.5 years older than me.
Okay.
So, I mean, he was getting on up there. But we wanted to start thinking about having a family, having kids. And after some doctor's visits and some, tests that were run, the doctor assured me that I was just really going to have a hard time getting pregnant. And, because of a medical issue that I had, that there would just be some bumps in the road.
So how long were you guys had been trying?
We talked about this. It's probably close to 2 years, which I guess for some people that may not be that long.
Yeah.
Of course, that was 22 years ago or 23, years ago. And I know infertility was an issue for many women or couples. But at that time, I really didn't have any experience with it and didn't know what to expect.
Or how to advocate or what to research or.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, social media then was not like it is now.
Yeah.
And you just don't have a lot of the feedback and just what's being bombarded in your head on a daily basis.
And I think that's one positive I think of social media these days is in some ways it is easier to find community, to have that support, or at least hey, here's this group of people that have some information about this, and they're maybe it is just their experience, but hey, it's better than zero information.
Right.
And that is one positive about social media now, that we have that. Yeah. So what was the toughest part? Because, you say it was only 2 years, but in the middle of it, you don't know it's just going to be 2 years.
Right. You don't.
It just feels like eternity. Just this desert of, okay, if and when,
right.
So my question really is what was the toughest part about that season emotionally?
Well, first of all, not having family around. I mean, it's one thing to pick up the phone and make a phone call and, talk to mom and in-laws and, whoever that's, in your circle, but it's not the same. Yeah. It's not the same as having a, bad test result and being able to go to their house and, just cry your eyes out.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what to expect, or you don't know what's going to be next, or what your options are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was really hard being away from family. I had a really good support group as far as my friend circle, the people that I worked with. At that time, I worked in a medical setting. So I was surrounded by people who, could reassure me and could give me the, well, have you tried this, or have you thought about this? So, I mean, that definitely helped me emotionally.
Yeah. So you had your community, which is great. Was there anything else that was kind of like a turning point for you as far as processing through this?
I was not, or we at the time, we were not involved in a church, just living away from home. I mean, we never really found a church that we felt like, was community or was family.
Yeah.
We visited a few and tried to just kind of make a home somewhere, but the way that our life was going and the stress and just everything that we had with law school and my job, and we just didn't find the time, you know? So then that takes a toll on you, physically, emotionally, all these things are going on, and a lot of prayer. I have to say, a lot of prayer. I mean, I was raised in a church, I mean, I was raised that way, and just really focusing on my prayer life is what I had to do.
Yeah.
And it was out of my control. There was nothing that I was going to be able to do to control the outcome. I had a miscarriage in the middle of all of this. I didn't really have a lot of support from the doctor that I was seeing at the time, but she was also not a fertility specialist. So I felt like, I wasn't really getting anywhere, and I didn't feel like I was getting the feedback that I needed from her, emotionally.
Yeah.
And having that miscarriage just kind of threw me back,
Yeah. Did it make you like afraid to keep trying, or?
Well, I mean, I would have to say yes. I mean, I think that's just normal, a normal characteristic of that. But definitely afraid, doubt, so much doubt.
Yeah.
Frustration. I was angry, just all of those emotions.
Yeah. How far along were you with the miscarriage?
Oh, gosh. I was somewhere around in that 10-week probably period. So really early on, but still had to go through the whole surgery, all of that. So it was emotionally draining for sure.
Yeah. So kind of traumatic.
Yes.
Yeah. I think those are always traumatic because it's a bigger deal than we ever really let on. Yeah. We being women.
Yeah.
Because this happens to many women all the time. And we just go, oh, I just had a D&C and just kind of play it down. And it's like, that was a big deal.
It is a big deal. I mean, my husband was great. He was supportive and, I don't really know what he expected, or if he knew how he was supposed to comfort me, but he was there, and that's important.
Yeah, it is. So you mentioned earlier about your prayer life and what you were praying over, and just kind of realizing that you had no control and that God just had to take over. Were you more in that moment and with that prayer, was it more about just giving up that it couldn't happen, or more submitting the situation to God? Like, do you remember kind of what your heart was kind of at that moment? I know it's been a minute now, but if you think back for a second, like,
I knew that God always has my back.
Oh yeah.
It was just a personality trait for me to give up control and say, okay, you can have it. You take care of this, I trust you.
Yeah.
But, I was young. And I mean, if I'm being honest, my prayer life was probably not what it should have been during that time, and I mean, I'm sure there are many people out there that think the same thing and have experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
So where my heart was probably not where it should have been because I let a lot of the emotions control me more than letting God control.
Mm-hmm. But I still think like there's at least a step of faith there by saying like, hey, God, only you can do this. Like, that's still a step in acknowledging that, because that's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the truth in anything and everything. So I think it's at least you have to give yourself some credit. I think with that.
We persevered. So
mm-hmm. Did y'all see, like, I know you mentioned the doctor you had and it wasn't a specialist in fertility. Did y'all see many medical professionals? Did you go get another doctor?
Actually, yeah. I ended up getting another doctor within that same group. Just, I mean, I'm not going to say that the doctor didn't know what she was doing or, I'm just saying personalities are not the same. Right. And sometimes personalities clash and you just have to take another step forward and go a different direction.
And I feel like it's something that is very invasive and personal as that type of doctor. I think that really does.
Yeah.
It really is. It's really personal all the way through and really invasive all the way through. I think, it really matters.
And that relationship that you have with that doctor is so important. And I ended up going with another doctor within that group and he was great. He was wonderful. And he actually said, you're working the medical field. And at the time I was working at a teaching hospital. And, I was just surrounded by students and doctors and, just wonderful physicians. Yeah. And he said, you have the best right there where you work. So why not? Let's give that a try. Yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely worth taking the step because it made me feel comfortable. So that's what we did. Yeah. We found a fertility specialist where I was working and he was amazing. It was amazing.
So was IVF ever on the table for you or?
Probably at some point, but it wasn't like, nothing else is going to work. We have to go straight here. We had seen that what we were doing was working. Okay. We knew it was working. It just, timing wasn't right or something, something just, wasn't working at the time. But yeah, I mean, we knew it would work.
Okay. So what gave you hope? What encouraged you during this long time of waiting?
Oh, gosh. I just had to feel at peace about it. I had to surround myself with people who had also struggled with miscarriage and infertility. Relationships are so important. And when you struggle with anything that's traumatic, just, this, for example, in your life, I think it's important to find those people. And those people also should have a relationship with God, whatever their relationship is, even if they're just still speaking that to you. That is just so important so that you can relate. Yeah. So I made sure that I had people around me and working in the medical field at the time. There were always people that were struggling that had either been to support groups or just could remind me that, this is not the end. Yeah. And there's hope. You just got to have faith. And that was so important to me, especially since I didn't have family around.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any favorite Bible verses or anything or songs that got you through?
At that time in my life, I wouldn't say that there was any particular one verse or song that I relied on, but I always loved Mandisa. I've always thought her voice and I mean, she's just an angel. Yeah. She's a powerhouse. I mean, she is. And she has the song Stronger. Yeah. And I just feel like the lyrics just speak to us as women and what we have to go through sometimes. And in that chorus of that song says, when the waves are taking you under, hold on just a little bit longer. He knows that it's going to make you stronger.
Yeah.
And you do feel like, especially in a time like this, you do feel like that the waves are taking you under.
Yeah.
And you just need him to reach out and say, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. And trusting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you know that God was speaking to you?
Well, like I said, it's hard to explain because at this time of my life, I didn't know if trusting God was doing any good. I had so much doubt.
Yeah.
It really took me allowing him to say, I got this, and just giving me the peace to let go, to just give him the control. And then he just took over.
Yeah.
It was, let's see.
Yeah, I was like, how did he take over? Like, so when you say that, like, what do you mean?
Well, okay. Again, when my husband and I were talking about all of this, and we were talking about this in front of our twins, and we'll talk more about them in a little while, but talking about this in front of them, and just, so that they understood, that this is life. This is what happens. But I had all the dates wrong. He knew exactly when all of this took place and how it took place. But I actually was off of my fertility meds. The doctor said, let's just take a break. You've got a lot going on. We were building our house. We had just built a house over there. Yes, it's so stressful.
Yeah.
My husband was, I guess, in his third year of school. I mean, so there's just a lot going on. You're trying to finish up. And so we just kind of taking a break.
Because stress really is a big factor in all
It
that.
absolutely does. It really, really does. And I mean, if you don't believe it, I am the poster child for saying, you have to just, let go of a lot of it. And so we built our house. We got moved in our house. And it wasn't too long after that I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I had to let go. I just had to let him take care of it.
When you saw the test, the pregnancy positive results, like, what did you do?
Well, I mean, I was thrilled, obviously, but still, just kind of taking a step back, not sure if I should be excited or, apprehensive about it, just how I needed to actually
a false positive,
right? I mean, how should I think about this? But I think you're guarded. Yeah, you are guarded, and so you need that. You need to go see the doctor and say, "Okay, please tell me that this is a real deal." Yeah,
show me the heartbeats.
Yeah.
And for you had extra surprise. So when did you learn that you had twins?
Oh gosh. I'll never forget this image because, I mean, my fertility doctor, obviously he was the one that was, doing the ultrasound that day. And my husband, like I said, I wasn't on the fertility meds at the time. So, we just didn't, I mean, we obviously had expected that we could have multiples because the doctor prepared us for that. But when you're not taking the medication and, things are just kind of la-di-da and you go in and have the ultrasound and he goes, oh, okay, well, I see 2. And my husband's sitting on this stool, one of these rolling stools right next to me. And he just kind of sat there with this look, surprised. And then the doctor says, or maybe that's 3.
Oh my gosh.
That point, the nurse had to kind of come up behind him because I thought he was going to fall off the stool. So. But I mean, 2. We had 2. So a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
And they were just absolutely a blessing. Have been all their lives.
Yeah.
But they came at about 36 weeks.
That's really good.
Yeah, they were really, I mean,
that's
both at
really good.
Around a little over 5 pounds each. So, they thrived. We had a little bit of a hiccup with our son when he was about 5 weeks old. He developed a pyloric stenosis and had to have surgery, which was pretty traumatic at 5 weeks old, Right. But they've been healthy. They've thrived.
Yeah.
They're 22 years old now.
I know.
They'll be 23.
go their master's, right?
Well, my daughter is headed to physical therapy school.
Yeah.
And
I knew something extra.
She graduated from tech in May, and she's headed to physical therapy school. And her twin brother, he graduated from Northwestern in May, and he has gotten into graduate school at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So he's headed there in just a couple of weeks. We're moving him. So
wow.
I know. I can't believe it. Wow. I mean, they surprise you.
Yeah. I remember like several years ago just talking about when they were going to start college and what they could possibly do.
I know.
I do remember this conversation. So,
I know. I mean, I love that my kids have grown up with my friends and, because you've gotten to see them, and all their little journees that they've had.
Oh, and we can't forget about Avery.
Oh, yes.
You got to tell everybody
then there's the third.
So how did that come in? Like, wow, what an extra blessing you had.
He definitely was.
Yeah.
Well, the twins were about 3.5 years old. I was 32 by then, 31, 32. I mean, we weren't planning on having any more kids because we had our boy and our girl. And and we had our hands full.
Yeah.
And he just bounced right onto this world, into this world. No fertility drugs, just the Lord. Just a thing. That's right.
Wow.
And, I mean, we talk about how he was a surprise and he was, but also, I mean, I do believe that, God put him right up in the middle of our life, not necessarily to cause any chaos or anything, but just because we needed him.
Yeah.
The
Lord knew.
And there's so many instances I could name of how he has just brought so much joy to our family. Yeah. So much joy.
Well, he was definitely a joy to teach. I taught him in the 5th grade.
He did.
A little bit. He might have learned some type of social studies for me. Maybe. So if he knows his cardinal directions, I'll take credit for that.
That's right. That's very important.
Yeah. Oh man, just having this 3 years difference. That's crazy.
I know. And my daughter, she's just like his little mama. She just everything he does, and they're tight as can be, which is so funny to me, but they are.
Yeah. So how did that season in your life impact your relationship with God moving forward?
I had to stop and really stop trying to control everything.
Yeah.
Realize that he is my hands and my feet. He moves me forward each day. I had to rely on him. I had to learn to rely on him.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
I mean, on a daily basis, I feel him every second, minute, hour of the day, like most people do.
Yeah.
But when you give God that control, you feel that peace about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what did you learn about God's character?
He's always faithful, no matter how inadequate we feel, no matter how many mountains are in our way, he is going to be our hands and our feet.
Yeah. Just like you were saying earlier, just he's got you.
Yeah.
You can really trust in that.
He's got my back.
Yeah. So what encouragement would you share today with someone that is struggling with a similar situation?
Well, so many people helped me through this time. So I just say, surround yourself with people who lift you up and people who encourage you by speaking God's word to you. It's really about a sense of community.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with infertility, really anything in your life that, is causing you physical and emotional strain or trauma, it's important to surround yourself with the people who have either been in that situation or just are able to just speak that positivity.
Yeah. And just reminding you that God is for you.
Right.
Because that's something that is so easy to forget, but we need that truth, especially spoken over us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Man, community. We kind of talked a lot about that today, really.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that's kind of unique to Christianity, or I just don't think of, when I think of other religions, maybe maybe it's to my ignorance. I don't know. But I just don't know of that being a thing in other people's religions or whatever they have that they believe in. But I know for Christianity, for sure, that's something that's built into it. Like it's a part of it, you know? So guys out there, if you're not in community somewhere, you got to find one. And that's a church, any type of small group, any, you know, if you're a college student, like, you know, there's plenty of different like Bible groups on campus somewhere. They're there. Just go find one.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us today. I never tire hearing God's faithfulness to us. I don't think our listeners do either. So thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You want to tell us more about the Purple Cow, you know, the Purple Cow Snack Company and where we can find you? And I mean, I know you said earlier you're on Etsy. Can you tell us again where we can find you and, you know, get some great treats?
Well, you can email me. My email address is purplecowsnacks@gmail.com.
Okay.
Also on Facebook, the Facebook page, Instagram page, Purple Cow Snacks or Purple Cow Snack Company, I believe is how it's listed on Facebook.
Okay.
But definitely email if you want to get me quickly. That's the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we're there. I'm there. Everything is out of my home. I make out of my home. It's homemade. We have a little farm. So we have our own chickens and any baked goods that I make. I use farm fresh eggs.
Oh, okay.
So
you have a cow on your land?
Oh, we have 5 right now. We have, that's my husband's pride and joy.
It's funny.
He would much rather be outside with cows than doing anything else.
That's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, and I try to keep everything as natural as possible if I can, just simply because, I mean, we're surrounded by snack foods and all the things that, you know, you can pick up at the grocery store or Walmart or even on Amazon. But just to know that you're getting something that is homemade, that someone has put their heart and soul into. Makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Mixed in with love. Yeah. I think people can taste that. Okay. Well, thanks again for coming out and for sharing your story with us. You know, I just know that it's encouraged someone today, and I just thank you for sharing it.
No, thanks for having me. My name is Gina, and this is my story of the middle.
I'm your host, Brandy Bostic, and you've been listening to the Up From the Muck podcast. If you're interested in getting a little extra perks or learning more about the guest I interview, check out my Patreon account in the show notes below.
Psalm 40, verse 2 says, "He brought me up from the desolate pit, out of the muddy clay, making my steps secure."